Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining Jeff and I today on our webcast. Today, we're going to be talking about accounting scandals.
Mm.
But before we get into it, I want to say a shout out to Jesse Collins, who just redesigned our website. And we think it's fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. It's a great
Mhm.
website. You did a great job on it. And I told him on the weekend that when the spring comes, you and I are taking him and his wife to a Blue Jays game. So, Sonny, whether you want to come or not, you're coming.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So accounting scandals. We practice contrarian investing,
Mhm.
which means that we're looking for stocks that are temporarily out of favor.
Yep.
Contrarian investing does not include accounting scandals, or
No.
accounting scandals is not contrarian investing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a huge red flag
Oh,
for anyone.
totally agree. If a company comes out with an accounting problem, like fraud or the auditor is resigning, that to us does not represent a buying opportunity. Normally,
Hmm.
what happens is that these companies go to zero, and so we'll never touch any of them if the stock simply drops because of an accounting problem.
Right. And we want to go through a couple of examples. There was a news report last week about Ernest and Young resigning from as the auditors for
Yeah.
Super Micro.
Hmm.
So there was a whistleblower or an ex-employee that came forward and brought it to, I guess, brought it to light, and they have now stepped down. And there was a statement made by the company, Ernest and Young, that stated, "We are resigning due to the information that has recently come to our attention, which has led us to no longer be able to rely on management's and audit committee's representation."
Right. It's a strong
So,
statement. And
yeah.
the actual release went on to even question their integrity. So, I mean, why would you touch this as an investor?
Mhm.
So, since that release came out, the stock price is down about 55 percentage points. So it's not something we would touch. And as I say, like normally when a company has an accounting problem, the stock normally goes to zero. There's two other examples that we thought we would mention. One is Enron and one is
Hmm.
WorldCom.
Yeah. And it's the same kind of scenarios.
Yeah,
And right, Enron was what happened? They weren't putting debts on, I guess, debt on their balance sheet.
they were putting debts off the balance sheet. So if you're looking at assets and liabilities, you didn't see the whole picture. Anyways, Enron goes right to zero. They went to zero, but the CEO went to jail, Jeff
Right.
Skilling. And then
And the former.
Ken Lay died before he was prosecuted, but he would have gone to jail too. And then the other
Yeah.
one was WorldCom, and I don't know WorldCom as well, but they went to zero too. So the point is, if you see an accounting fraud, that is not contrarian investing. We look for stocks that are just kind of temporarily out of favor. My
Hmm.
favorite example is Acon Group. I mean, they're a construction company in Ontario. Well, they're Canadian, but they're mostly Ontario. And they had
Hmm.
these four tough construction projects where they had fixed cost, right?
Right.
So they
Went over budget.
yeah, they just went over budget. And so we bought it at around what I think it was like $10.55. And
Yeah.
we knew these contracts would get rolled off and eventually would return to the great company that it is. Here we are
Hmm.
a year later, it's now over $20. So all of our
Yeah.
clients we bought it for have made 100% return. That's not an accounting fraud, right? So,
Yeah.
um, if you're looking for contrarian investing, it's something that's temporary that will be resolved by just a good business. But we'll never
Hmm.
touch something that is fraudulent or, require anything that involves the law. We just won't get ourselves or our clients involved in it.
Yeah. Do you think there's anything that investors can do to mitigate purchasing
Yeah,
that kind of thing? And
for sure.
besides, Right.
Yeah, I mean, the obvious one is just reading the financial statements. That's what we do. We read the annual report cover to cover. So every 3 months, a publicly traded company has to come out with what's called a 10Q. So that's a quarterly report, but they're not required to give as much disclosure as they are in their annual report, which is the
Hmm.
10K. We read the 10Q plus the 10K cover to cover.
Hmm.
And when we read the 10K, that's our initial purchase decision. And it's very interesting because you get a risk assessment, you see the notes that the auditor has written. And if we get even the slightest feeling that there's any kind of malfeasance or something we're just not comfortable with, we won't buy it.
Right.
And it's saved. We've come into several examples where there have been issues, and by avoiding purchasing the stock, we've saved our clients a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
All right.
that's what I would say you can do to avoid losses on accounting problems.
Right.
Read the
And then
10K.
right. And then we came into, I guess a client contacted us about centralized finance and asking questions about that.
Yeah, just to sum it up, I got a question 2 days ago from a client saying, I have a question or two about decentralized finance. I thought about it and I sent him my answer. My answer was simply decentralized finance, like cryptocurrency and the like, has made things more efficient for the
Hmm.
customer. But keep in mind that this has removed a lot of the intermediaries that have been created that protect the client or the investor at the end, like audited financial statements, a decent
Hmm.
settlement period.
Hmm.
And so, you
The
know,
regulation's not in place at
no,
this
it's
point.
not. And
Mhm.
regulation causes inefficiencies, but it also serves a lot of good, like protecting the
Mhm.
investor against things
Safeguarding.
like anti-money laundering. For
Hmm.
example, if I go to a bank and I want to take out $10,001, I'm going to get asked about it because the banks have to inquire about any kind of withdrawal over
Large
10,000.
transaction. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a large transaction. Like, what are you doing with this money?
Yeah.
And I have to explain it. And if it's a weird answer, they won't give you the money. But if you're doing a crypto, you can
Hmm.
do any amount you want. So I think that our intermediaries serve a very good purpose.
I do too. Okay. Anything
Okay.
else to add?
No, no, no. We'll talk about this with Jesse at the Blue Jays game.
We will. Okay.
Okay.
Have a good night.
You too.